I am currently in the process of migrating from Cubase to Bitwig because in my last video I said that I'm very sad that Steinberg is discontinuing the VST2 support in Cubase and their other DAW softwares because there is a lot of VST2 plugins that I really like. So in this video I will take all the VST2 plugins that I still have in my Cubase VST plugins folder and put it into the general VST plugins folder for VST2 plugins, and just take this moment to appreciate all the plugins that I have as VST2 and not as VST3, and talk about it. And that is supposed to show how much there is still that needs to be saved from discontinuing a plugin standard. That's not true for all of these things. For example, yeah, there is FabFilter, which is definitely also available as VST3, and I also have it as VST3, but there is also some need to have it as VST2, because for example, the software that I use to record everything with OBS also has only VST2 support, and I'm using FabFilter there for well, the expander, so that there are less smacks, and the compressor, so that it's just nice, and this plugin for, you know, putting the left and the right channel together, because obviously a microphone is only one channel, and of course Restream for streaming the DAW into OBS, so that I can have the whole sound in here. So for softwares like this that are not ready for VST3 support yet, it's important to have VST2. And it's also important for big DAWs as well, because of course there are a lot of plugins, like everything from Native Instruments, like these little effect plugins that they have in their Modulation suite and the Distortion suite, or what they are called. Then there is Hornet Volvola, but this is available as a VST3, but I helped the developer with a bug, so he gave me a build that was VST2 for some reason, and then I just kept it like this. Whatever. Contact. I don't know why I have this as VST2 installed. Does it have a VST3 version? Maybe not. Labs. Is there a VST3 version of Labs? I think they will definitely make one very soon, but I for some reason only have a VST2 version, so I suppose it was not out when I installed Labs. Then there is Revplate. That was a nice reverb plugin that I got from, I don't know, Arturia. Yeah, that's from Arturia. Rift. I don't know why Rift is VST2. That's a very new developer. So they should not have a VST2 license. Shaperbox. Shaperbox is also like a very innovative cable guys, very innovative people, so they should also have VST3. But I for some reason have installed VST2 versions of these, and I'm not sure if I have VST3 versions then, because usually I do untick the VST2 option when I have a VST3 option. So if there was a VST3 option for these plugins and I still did not untick the VST2 option, then I don't know, that's weird. Toolchain by RSMet. Yeah, that's a huge plugin. Let's just go there for a while. It's one of the most weird plugins of all time. It's basically a mesh between all other plugin of RSMet, and there are some crazy things in there. Well, EasyQ is a normal EQ, that's not so crazy. Crossover is with filters specifically made to make crossovers happen, so that you can make your own multiband effects. But what I really love is Engineer's filter, which gives you filter types with very weird properties on the frequency spectrum, as you can see here. And Func Shaper, which lets you make wave shaper curves from math functions that you come up with in Desmos. You know, you could just go ahead and write something, and if this is your signal, then your wave shaper could be this, and then you would just take this and plug it into Func Shaper. So that's a very awesome plugin. I don't know if Aerosmith has any aspirations to update their plugins. When I'm on this website, I never see something new, so they might just not care. So this plugin, I really need to keep it. Now let's go on with the delays. This is also a great opportunity for me to just not copy certain plugins, so that I don't have too many plugins in my new folder now, which I find very nice. So first of all, tape delay 64. I forgot what it is. Tape delay 64. It does not say a lot about what it is. It doesn't have a catchy name. It's just some tape delay. I guess I will just keep it in here for now. But diffuse and KR delay are both very cool. And diffuse, I'm actually kind of confused why diffuse is not VST3, or why I have a VST2 version of the diffuse VST. And diffuse, where, yeah, serial machines, diffuse. It looks like this. It's a very cool delay that also mixes between, it's a mix between a delay and a reverb. And you can, you know, interpolate between the delay and reverbness and then get something in between, and it's really crazy and has a very smooth sound. I think it does have a VST3 version. Does it say something about VST3 here? Maybe I just installed both just in case that I need it for something in OBS or so, I don't know. It does not say VST3 here, but it does say 32-bit and 64-bit. So they do have backwards compatibility a lot. But do they also have forward compatibility? Now when it comes to Tall Dub, I must say I have huge respect for Tall. This developer is in the game for a long time already. Unfortunately, some of the plugins are not very convincing to me, and the delays are sometimes part of that. Like very way back, Tall and Valhalla had more or less the same quality, but Valhalla really added a lot to their stuff. And what is this, Splice? I didn't want to go to Splice. What the fuck? Splice always pretends like they own everything, but they did not do anything. Tall Dub. For example, this, I tried this and I remember that it felt kind of hard to use, because something about the way the feedback sounds was not as cool as, for example, I have in Bionic delay for my personal taste. And then, you know, you don't keep two delays in your DAW if they are just marginally different and one of them has a slightly less nice sound for you. And this one already had a cool sound that I liked for almost every occasion, so I did not keep Tall delay then. Now I have 3 different versions of Tall Dub now, and I know they all sound different, but if I ever try them again, I should just install them again instead of just mindlessly copying these over now. Valhalla Frequency Echo, however, is just something that I will definitely need. And I don't need it twice in my folders. So DFX Override and DFX Synth. These are some oldies but goldies, and they were remade by the developer like half a year ago or something. So that is really cool. They were remade, but they are still VST2 for some reason. That's kind of weird, but anyway, now Distortion. I did not like this plugin called Distortion. Distortion. I guess I will not even find it now when I search for it, because when you write Distortion VST, then you find Distortion plugins of the category Distortion instead of a plugin that is called Distortion literally. So that was already a very bad decision for naming the plugin. But it's also not a very nice plugin at all. It's just a wave shaper and does not have oversampling or anything like that. Saturation knob. A lot of people like it. I felt like I did not need it very much. Free clip is very cool. It is a clipper plugin. It's very simple, straight to the point. But it also has oversampling, which is sometimes needed to make it slightly less crunchy. This is a very nice free distortion plugin that everyone should have it. Lame VST is a funny little gadget to convert something to sound like a cheap MP3. Doron, yo, these plugins are crazy. There are synth edit plugins, which is why they have such peculiar looking folders. Ghost tones, I was not a big fan of ghost tones because it's just a bunch of sine waves that do something that is scientifically interesting but does not sound nice. But Blumen und Pflanzen is a very nice plugin, so it will also come here. Even though the workflow of the plugins is not my main workflow, because they are not geared towards working in a DAW with tempo sync and notes and stuff, but rather like their own little modular environments. Dynamics. A1 trigger gate, definitely. It's a nice trance gate. OTT, of course. Why is it? It's just weird to see that A1 trigger gate is in the same folder as OTT, because I perceive A1 trigger gate more as a creative effect, and OTT is more like crunching, distortion stuff, but they are both for dynamics, I guess. What was this? I have forgot. And just because I forgot does not mean it's bad. It's just that I need to be reminded. Oh yeah, a gate plugin with a built-in, it's actually more of an expander, and it has 2 bands. I'm not using it anymore because I have Pro MB, which has even more bands and also expansion and everything. And also visualizes it better, so there is no point in using this, unfortunately. The developer stopped developing VST plugins some time ago already, so I don't have to feel bad. But I do feel bad for them, because they also had some plugins that I really liked, and I think they would have deserved to make this their job. Maybe it was. What the fuck? Shit. One should never Google Sonic. Sonic Anomaly. This is Sonic Charge, by the way, not Sonic Anomaly. Thanks, Google, for not being very helpful here. Anyway, they had good plugins, believe me. Now, Kotelnikov, of course, everyone should have Kotelnikov. Very, very good. Oh yeah, Transpire, that was a good. And Unlimited, those were good plugins in, in Sonic Anomaly. But I will only keep Transpire, because I have Pro L2 for limiting, which definitely solves all my needs there. Spline EQ is a very interesting concept. Spline-based equalizer, where you're drawing a spline, and then it will figure out the filters that are needed to make this combined filter shape. But I felt like the workflow was kind of weird, and it took a lot of resources as well. Nova is just a cool EQ everyone should have. I do have another EQ, I have Pro Q for EQing, but it's Pro Q2. So for dynamic EQing I can still use Nova. Now, Tall Filter, that's a cool plugin by Tall. It's if anyone who watched this video does not know Tall Filter yet, it is also spline based, but it's but the curve is attached to a low pass filter or something. I think you can switch it, yeah. And then well, it can be tempo sync, I think, and stuff like that. Yes. So that's pretty cool. That's a good example for a Tall plugin that I really like. Bittersweet Stereo Tool by Flux. I think these were like, I think Bittersweet was a transient shaper. I'm not too much of a transient shaper fan, so I don't always remember transient shapers. And I think I once tested if it differs a lot from other transient shapers, and I came to the conclusion that it did not differ too much, so I did not use it anymore. But as I said, I'm definitely not much of a fan of transient shapers in general. Now FFT Fight, it was a free plugin with some game. Oh yeah, Door Games was the name of the developer. Yeah, and there were it's just a gimmicky little developer. Well, I don't need that anymore because it was good enough for the gimmick. Then there were some plugins that I made some time ago, but I don't use them anymore because they were just like the first things that I ever did. I should revisit these ideas at some point, but it's not important now. Now there is this whole stuff from Insert Piss here. And they made one free plugin that a lot of people probably know, which is the one where you can insert an image and then it will, yeah, harsh digital noise, and then it will kind of translate that into a wavetable, and then you can play notes with it. It's a very weird plugin, and it often definitely sounds harsh. So the way the images are interpreted is not as smooth as in Serum or in Hammer. I think Hammer does the best job in interpreting an image as a sound. But it's definitely a cool concept, and I love cool concepts. And this developer also developed a lot of other little plugins like MIDI helpers and stuff, you know, Modulator. And the thing is, I'm just not a fan of this kind of stuff. I'm not the one who wants to think MIDI. I want to think modulation, and that's why I also got one of the reasons why I got Bitwig, because there you can select modulators just like that and attach them to parameters, and you don't have to use MIDI effects. So I will not copy these, but I tried them and it was really cool to see that all this is possible. So they are very nice for experimentation. MIDI. Now Blue Arp. Blue Arp's probably also not needed anymore. I needed it in Cubase because Steinberg does not accept... Oh man. Blue Arp. Steinberg does not accept MIDI plugins, MIDI effect plugins on synthesizers. So you have to have a MIDI synthesizer that synthesizes MIDI, and then you have to route the MIDI that comes out to the input of another synthesizer, and it's very annoying. But the only way to get anything MIDI related working in Cubase is when the plugin outputs MIDI as a synthesizer. So this plugin does that, and it can make sequences and stuff, and that's why it was useful. And when you use a plugin like this in Cubase, then you can, with a little bit of work, arrange like something that comes close to styles in keyboards or something like that, which is kind of funny. But I think I will not need it anymore now. Modulation. Which frequency shifter was that? I don't want to open Cubase now to find out. Maybe I will find it like this. Oh yeah. Huh? clicked on the image and it changed. It's definitely this thing, but they might have changed the look and feel in the meantime. Problem is I found it kind of confusing, so I think I will live without it now. Fromage. Yeah, Fromage. I did not play a lot with it yet, but I once tried it very shortly and I liked it. So I will just take it and I'll try it again sometime when I see it in my folder. Multiply. What was Multiply? I think it was something cool. A chorus plugin, I think. Yeah, Eq Digital. I have Deverberate from Eq Digital, and that's a really cool plugin for removing reverberation. And Multiply is also cool because it's a chorus effect, but you can select the frequency range in which it should chorus, and the rest of the signal is left untouched, I think, which is very useful. I also did not use it too much yet, but because I think I just forgot to use it, but the times when I used it were really cool, so I will keep it. Patching Tremolo. I show you what it is if you don't know it yet. It's a tremolo sound plugin, and yeah, it's very simple. Frequency, you know, free or tempo sync, panning or volume, some sort of shaping the shape thingy, depth, and you can make different adjustments, and some of them will make it more like a pumping curve, like for pseudo sidechaining, but I'm not a fan of such stuff. If I were to do something like that, I would probably just make an automation, but usually I really use a compressor for that, the old school way, because I just like things interacting with each other. It just feels good to me. Ribs. Ribs is a crazy plugin. It's a granular. No, not spare ribs. Ribs is a crazy granular plugin where I never in my whole life figured out what I am doing. Like, I watched all these videos which are very, very long. Okay, this one is short, but this one is quite long. Actually, it's shorter than my videos, lol. But they are still pretty dense, and the features of this plugin are crazy. So I'll keep it, because sometimes I like to open it and just lose myself in it and completely not understand what I'm doing. And the sounds are incredible. Serum FX, of course I keep Serum FX. I mean, look, when even Serum is still VST2, then you cannot discontinuity VST2. I mean, Serum. It's Serum, right? So some people might not agree that Synth 1 is the best synthesizer ever, but Serum is definitely the most used synthesizer ever. Right? Right. So, Valhalla Space Modulator. Of course I want everything from Valhalla. Oh yeah, Imaginando. DLYM. It's also a chorus, I think, but it did not. Whoa, they remade it. It looks different now. It looks cool. I remember that it looked kinda weird at first, and it also felt weird. Maybe it only felt weird because it looked weird, because this looks so nice. Look how smooth these lines are. Woohoo! Well, I should retry that some other time then. I should make sure to also copy this. Because, obviously, Fromage came with a folder. So it should contain something important, probably. Other. Driftmaker. Driftmaker is a granular plugin with only a few knobs. No, that's not Driftmaker. What? Why does it show me all these drum samples when I'm a Driftmaker? Pure magnetic. Yeah, it does some cool things, like chopping up the input into different grains and rearranging them, and sometimes it's kind of cool. But oftentimes it's also just clicky and noisy without interesting texture. And that's just not important, too much of an importance for me. Now, what was Expanse? What was it also from Pure Magnetic? Expanse 3D? No, I don't remember having this plugin. Yeah, it's also from Pure Magnetic. Yeah, I think I had a similar issue with this one, but I think it was better than Driftmaker. But I think Bitwig has a lot of granular stuff already, probably. Pollex Stretch is something that I definitely want to have, because it is a plugin that reads your audio and then you can time stretch it to incredible and ridiculous amounts, like making it 4,000 times slower. And then it's just like a huge whoosh, and then you change some weird aspects about the sounds, like the harmonics, how they are spaced from each other and stuff like that, and how much noise and how much tonal stuff is in the stuff, and then things get really crazy. What was FBV? It has a manual, so hopefully there is an image. Alright, yeah, I once wanted to use that and it did not work for me, and the developer couldn't tell me why it did not produce audio. So I guess I either used it wrong or it was not tested well in Cubase. I should retry it sometime, because I like vocoders, but I will not now. Maybe it was fixed a long time already. Tall vocoder, however, is very cool. I will copy it over. Now Graylon, the developer is very nice. I don't like Graylon as much as I like Kirui, but I think I will just copy Graylon anyway, because it has a cleaner sound. The problem is just that the pitch detection is very sloppy. MIDI choir, no, I don't need that. SK10. I think there was some sort of thing from Waves Factory for enhancing the low end. Very interesting. I'm not sure what this thing is actually doing, but it seems like it's doing something different than just EQing and distorting the signal. So it should definitely be here. ReFX. Now this is important. This is why I started this transition today, because I want to make videos with Bitwig and I need Restream for that. I don't know if I need the other things, but I just want to keep them all together here. La 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 la. Of course, I still keep my version of Cubase installed in case if I wanna debug something, or if I need to produce something really quickly, maybe for university or something, and I just need something where I learned the workflow already. But my main goal is to learn as much Bitwig as I can now, so that I can just transition to a DAW where I feel safe about the future. Dragonfly reverb. I don't know. I did not like the sound of this reverb, but the project is cool because it's an open source reverb, so people can check it out to learn the basics about cool reverbs, I guess. And yeah, they added a lot of stuff to that since I tried it, so it might have become better in the meantime, but I will not keep it now. 2C Vector. I forgot what it is, even though the name sounds very catchy. Vector, spatial image analysis. Why does it not have an image of it? Oh yeah, right, it's just a GNU scope, or how they are called. I do have one in Signalizer already, so I don't need it. Func Convolver, that's a plugin by Audio Thing, and what I don't like about it is that almost every parameter change reloads the buffer of the impulse response. He probably made that in the quest to improve the performance as much as possible, because convolution is very performance heavy already, and then you don't want to have even more stuff processing. But it's also kind of annoying, because if you just want to dial in the low pass filter or change the fade a little bit, then that would be really cool. I cannot complain though, because my current default convolver is kilohertz convolver, and there you can also not make the fades smooth. But the pitch knob was also acting a little bit smoother on Convolver, so I think I will just go with Convolver now, not with Func Convolver. But this plugin was very useful for a long time, so I'm not dissing it or anything. KR Reverb, that's a nice little reverb. Sforzando. Sforzando is very useful for loading SFZ files or something like that, which is some sort of open source alternative format for stuff like Contact or so, which is cool. I'm all for open source formats that crush the bourgeoisie. Where was I? Reverb. Sonic Charge, Bitspeak and EchoBoat, of course I will put them over. Sonic Charge is one of the coolest developers of all time. Bitspeak is a vocoder that sounds super robotic and super gnarly in a cool way. Like, you can really feel all the graininess, and it's very crisp. That's the proper way to use the word crisp. I don't use it to talk about vocals in a trap song, because they are all like but I use it for stuff that really makes you know, because that's crisp, like something that is actually tasting crispy, and that makes a sound when you eat it. That's how I use the word crisp. EchoBoat is a delay with a internal boat style pitch shifter, and I saw that you can put stuff into the delay lines yourself with Bitwig. So there might be a point at some point where I don't need EchoBoat anymore, but maybe not, because EchoBoat is just so well tuned to this purpose that even if you have a feature like that in your DAW, you might still just use EchoBoat. Spatial Saipan is a panning plugin with psychoacoustic stuff, but I have DAVR music already, so I don't need it anymore. Proximity, also not needed anymore because of DAVR music, and Anal Gulf also, but I can recommend this plugin to everyone who does not want to spend money on DAVR music, because it's a free plugin for head-related transfer function based binaural panning, which means you can put it in some distance and, you know, elevation changes instead of just panning your audio normally. Quick Haas is kind of useful if you want to use a Haas effect. I don't often do that because of phase issues, but I can also not say that I hate it. Rand Phaser FFT, was it something that I made myself? Or was it? No, that cannot be. I never made VST2 plugins. Then it was this cool thing that I once got. Yeah, this is a very experimental plugin, and I once talked to the developer and said, yeah, could you make a version of that that does not have these weird clicks everywhere, but just the general sound character that it has? And they said no, because it would take a lot of time. And I said, I'm becoming a developer now too, maybe I can help you later. But I did not talk to them again, because I had so much to do. Or I think that is this plugin. I'm pretty sure it was this one. I want to keep it, because sometimes it's cool to revisit it. I don't need wider, it's just a stereo widening plugin with a certain character, but I don't like when plugins just have a very distinct character and then you can dial it in with one knob and then, yeah, I have more of this distinct character here, woohoo! Surround. Except if you can tweak the character afterwards, then it's cool. Now synthesizers. Oh, that's a big folder, let's do that later. Toolchain components. Okay, for some reason this is needed for toolchain, so let's just put it here. Tools. Signalizer. Yeah, of course I need Signalizer, the best oscilloscope and other stuff for visualization plugin ever. J-Scope's also nice, very small compared to Signalizer, but also easier. And span, everyone should have span. Even though I say with Signalizer I barely use span anymore, but it can be good just so that you have something to compare if you are not sure if some detailed things that you see are maybe just inaccurate properties of the visualization that you currently have, or if it's actually a thing, then it's cool that you have a second visualizer. Easy Drummer. It was just a demo, so I will not copy it, obviously. Now synthesizer is getting interesting. AES Launch Lizard session and Strum session, which is both very important plugins for me. One of them is a guitar simulation, the other one with physical modeling even, and the other one also with physical modeling. A Launch Lizard is a Rhodes piano emulation, so they have a very cool and interesting sound. Bitsonic, Keyzone Classic. Which one was it? I only need one of these free piano plugins. Oh yeah, that was the good one. Great. Then I will keep it. Bright Electric Guitar. Yeah, I remember that I did not use that anymore because it sounded so specific. It had a very specific sound that felt like it was made for a very specific occasion where you need a very certain composition style, even not just a certain sound, but a very certain way to compose with this. And because it was so rarely used, I forgot about it all the time, and so I will not use it anymore. Now Ethereal Harp. Ethereal Winds Harp is a harp plugin, and I don't have another harp plugin except for BBC Orchestral blah 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 from these dudes that also made labs. Kamiyuka. That was a monophonic synthesizer. A very complicated one. It was interesting, but well, not so important for me. Cute Emily Guitar is a very easy to use guitar plugin, but I also don't use it. Mad Bell was a very interesting pseudo-spiritual plugin with a bunch of pre-made sounds that sound a bit like you want to make binaural beats YouTube videos. It's cool for a gimmick, but not very important for me now. Some? What was some? Some. Okay, I don't even find it. So I guess I'll just keep it here for now. Oh wait, Sonatina Orchestra. Oh right. I think that was the orchestra that I did not like so much. But I need to see the interface to remember. Yeah, it's I think it had some problems where some notes had a lot of aliasing in the high end. And I know how that happens. The developer probably used a very cheap method of resampling the signal, but I continuously found myself using very sharp high cuts to compensate for that, and that was kinda annoying. So I will not use it. Spitfire Choir Labs. I don't know why it says Spitfire Choir and then suddenly it's just Labs, but whatever. Synth 1. Well, of course I take Synth 1 and put it over here. That is like the main point of a DAW, to be able to include Synth 1. VST2. Yeah, I don't know. Audio Weather. I think there was a very gimmicky plugin where you can do things like synthesizing rain from a bunch of pre-made samples. And yeah. I mean, it was kind of cool, but if I need like sounds like that, then I just go to freesound.org and download a sound, or actually wait for rain to appear and then turn on my microphone or something like that. Dext is a plugin that I do not understand, but it has good presets. It's a very complicated synthesizer with a very old school approach to FM synthesis. Harmor is the best plugin when it comes to analog, not analog, but additive synthesis. JPay6K from Adam's Sabo is an emulation of the classic and iconic Supersaw synthesizer, and it just needs to be there. Another reason why you cannot discontinue VST2, because you know, if the classic Supersaw synthesizer is not in the VST folder anymore, then what's the point, right? Noise player. I think this was a very cool developer, and they also once made a very cool filter, but it had a bug in my DAW when it came to automation. A noise player was their attempt to make something similar to Spitfire Labs, I think, where you can also select like a bunch of sampler thingies, and then it will give you some controls, and then you can get even more stuff like a marimba. Let's see if they made anything from that. Noise cloud. Yeah, you can download a lot of stuff, and I think some of this is related to, yeah, a lot of this is related to this plugin. I just happened to not invest any more in it, but I think I can still suggest that it's a nice addition to workflows that use stuff like Spitfire Labs a lot, because it's very much like it, and it also has a nice interface. I would even say it's even cleaner than Spitfire Labs, because it does not have so much space wasted with just white space. But of course, Spitfire Labs is a very ambitious project where most of the cool aspects about it come to the actual sound design, which is also very cool. Palindrome. What was Palindrome? Glitch machines. Alright. Oh yeah, that was a plugin that I bought because it was very hard on sale. Like something like €5 or so. So I just wanted to try it because I did not have a lot of granular plugins yet. And the point of this plugin is that that some playhead thing wanders over this thing that you built, and this thing that you build modulates something in the plugin, and this something modulates other stuff, and it's very confusing. But I think if you are getting very nerdy about it, then it can be cool. I will maybe yeah, let's do it. You know, it's granular plugins are never really easy to use, but this one was definitely fun. I just need to look at it some more. Rhythm and pitch generator what was it? I think that was a plugin, yeah, that can be used to make nice little birdie cheap chirp sounds. Yeah, that is even what the developer says about it themselves. Yeah, I think I will just keep it, because sometimes it makes some very peculiar noises. Serum, of course. Synthsphere is a very nice concept. It maps basically it's a rompler, and it maps all its sounds on some sort of 3D space that you can interpolate around by dragging, and then you can find sounds that are in between of those pre-made sounds. I think that is a very nice concept, but it would be even better if people could have some sort of back-end button here where they can make their own presets and then interpolate between these. Then it would definitely be even more fun and not so much of a gimmick. But I really love the idea. VST Speak. Of course I get VST Speak, even though I'm not sure. Is it synthesizer? Yeah, I think it is. It's a very old plugin where you can just type in some text and then it can play back on a MIDI note, and it will always play back the same way according to your parameters. You cannot even automate things, I think, if I remember correctly. But the thing is that the way this sounds is extremely old school and it has a very distinct character for some of the earliest vocal synthesis methods used in the history of audio synthesis in general. So this is an important plugin, and Expanse too. I was very disappointed with this plugin, to be honest. People have always told me it's one of the coolest romplers of all time, and I'm not a rompler fan, but they said that the sounds are just so good that you cannot live without it. But unfortunately, when I tried it multiple times. I wanted to make a video where I tell everyone how cool it is and how underrated it is. But I just could not convince myself that it's underrated, because the sounds are so weird and cheap. A lot of these sounds have a lot of reverb on them to compensate for them being cheap. Just like on these Yamaha keyboards, where you know these that you give your children when they are 6 years old, so they can pretend like they make something like a synthesizer sound when playing a keyboard. But then these keyboards always have a lot of reverb on every sound, so that it sounds a little bit more interesting than as if that was just a plain sample playback of some very lifeless sounding samples. And when I went through the presets of this thing, I also felt like if you took away these reverbs, it would just exactly be that. And sorry for everyone who really likes this synthesizer, and sorry for the developer who made it. But I mean, it's a very old synthesizer already. So I guess if I was speaking to the developer themselves right now, then they would probably say the same and say, yeah, if I would make that now, then I would definitely use other sounds. I mean, the workflow of the thing was not bad. You can select 4 sounds and then make some properties with it. And then down here you have some effects. It's just the sounds themselves that are not very nice. And that's a shame, because I really wished I would have found a rompler finally that I can enjoy. Or maybe it's just me not liking romplers, and that's what makes this unenjoyable to me. I don't know. I will not copy it for now. So now I copied a lot of stuff from my Cubase VST folder, and I mean, this folder became quite big, and this is all VST2 files. So if a DAW says they wanna discontinue VST2, then that's kind of weird, because all this would fall away, and a lot of this is so peculiar that there is just no alternative in the VST3 world. Sorry, but it's just like that. And yeah, I mean, you can discontinue 32-bit plugins because they are really old. That's something that where I would still say, okay, that is okay for performance gain, but stopping the support for VST2, that's kind of pointless. So that is enough for this little video.